Deepti, thanks for joining us on the show. E-commerce is a sector that's been rather busy through the pandemic as more and more people move to shopping online. Now, give us a sense of how busy a time this has been for the staff and the partners at Amazon India.
Sure. Firstly, I hope you and your family members are safe, and I know that it's been a challenging time for all of us. So I'm hoping that all the people who are viewing this, they are all fine and they are in good of health. To begin with, I know that this has been quite a busy period, especially for the e-commerce organizations, because obviously we have to look after our employees, our customers, our partners, our sellers. So the responsibility is not just to our employees, but to the community and to the sellers who are doing it. So it's been rather very busy time for us. But what's good is it's a very fulfilling time because you go back to sleep knowing that you brought a smile to someone's face who were not able to go and just buy groceries in a shop. They were being given that at their home front. So I think I'm happy that we've been able to change the way people shop and been able to make little life easier for them. And if that means we are a little busy, it's okay.
Right. So, Deepti, the second wave has been far more devastating than the first, and almost everyone has been affected in some way or the other. At Amazon, you all have always talked about how every day is day one. So there is that constant hustle culture. How do you find balance then between output and employee well-being, especially at a time like this?
Yeah, let me begin by talking about my own story, and the reason that I talked to you about it. When the second wave hit, both my in-laws were down with COVID, and that was the same time when we had huge number of employees having their family members not okay, and they were employees who were going through ups and downs. So obviously we had to go ahead and help them. And at that same time, I had issues at my home where both my in-laws were down and I had to balance. And no one, even for once, asked me that, why are you spending time here versus why are you spending time there? So what I really love about Amazon is they give you flexibility to know what to do when. And no one comes and asks you that why aren't you working on this particular day or that particular day. But what humbled me so much was the fact that a lot of employees came forward and they started helping each other. And I don't know if you've read about our COVID Warriors group. So they are actually extended arms of HR and benefit team who have been going and who's been helping us through this difficult phase. They were extended arms of HR. They actually made this Warriors group across 30 different cities in India, and they started helping out all the employees on the ground, trying to help them through the oxygen concentrators, through different things that are required. And I feel that it's easy today for us because people have been trying to find ways and means to balance their work as well as helping each other and trying to find that equilibrium for themselves. So I think it has really worked well for us right now.
Right. And Deepti, as far as your frontline workers are concerned, how have you been ensuring their safety at this time? The delivery executives, especially, are out there going from house to house and obviously at high risk.
So you're absolutely right. Our first and foremost thing is for them to be safe. In fact, we've made 100 plus changes in our fulfillment center in the delivery associates schedule so that we are able to take care of their safety, their well-being first, because they have the highest contact with the employees. In fact, our vaccination also drivers first started for them and their families before we had started it for the corporate employees. So for us, it is really important to see that they are safe because of course, they are the frontline people who are going ahead. All the things that we've been doing for our employees first begin there because it is important to take care of them. In fact, a very small little thing that I can share an example with that. The kind of work schedules that we have tried to do for them is that if a person is in any ways, not feeling safe or they need the time off or whatever, we are trying to build around the flexibility so that they have the kind of flexibility that requires. So anything that we do, we start with our frontline employees and then move on to doing other projects.
Let's also, Deepti, briefly talk about some of the initiatives you all have introduced for your corporate employees and the second wave, while also touching upon how the management arrived at those decisions.
So as I started, we first wave was still okay. I think we were kind of getting prepared, and things happened slowly, so we had time to ramp up and do some of the things. Second wave hit quite a lot of organizations without them being prepared, and that's why I think on the ground we needed that extra sets of hands and legs who could support the employees, both physically helping them as well as being there mentally with some of those people to extend the support during these stressful times. I think COVID Warriors was the first thing that we launched, and we launched it across, and we put a roster and a mechanism so that they could, help us scale. The other thing that we started was we started our CS call center where, employees could actually call the helpline number, and they could ask for any help that they need with respect to hospital beds, oxygen concentrators, any other facility that they would need. Some of them were just calling up saying, I'm stressed and who do I talk to? And we would provide the EAP support and so on and so forth. The next thing that we did was we also introduced something like an COVID leave or a caregiver leave, 14 days over and above the person their annual leave, because we knew that there is this employee who's either taking care of someone who's unwell at home or they themselves need that leave. So we extended that leave, whether the person is going through COVID or there is a family member who's going through COVID. And there were times when, people felt that they were not getting the hospital beds or they were not getting the thing. We also provided isolation centers. We actually went ahead and said we can also reimburse the ICU setup at home. So these were quite different things that we hadn't done in wave one. While we always had the salary advance policy in wave one too, we extended financial support in wave two, and we extended this COVID relief fund to all our employees, frontline employees at level 1 to level 3, because those were the frontline employees, and we felt it is important to give them the financial stability. Apart from that, of course, the vaccination drive you are aware about, which has got started in wave two, and a lot has been talked about the vaccination drive. And our aim is that we not only vaccinate our employees, but also vaccinate their family members, because it is important that the family is safe, and then only the employee will be safe. Those are some things that we've introduced. Of course, mental health and well-being has been one of our important things, and we've been making sure that people are feeling okay. They have someone to talk to. So EAP support that we provide is not only for the employees, we are also providing that for their family members. So I think, as we say at Amazon, it's still day one. We've done a few things, and there are a lot more that we are in pipeline to do.
Deepti, some recent studies seem to suggest that remote working makes people more productive. But then, of course, there are other schools of thoughts as well. What is Amazon India's take on this?
Before I go ahead and talk about Amazon India take on it, I do want to call out that productivity depends upon the person. Like, I've had working women who say that I have saved the 2 hours that I would use in travel, and I'm able to be more productive at home because I don't have to travel, and I can spend that time with my kids. And there is another woman who has kids and say, I just can't concentrate because my child keeps coming and knocking at the door all the time. There are people who would say that I'm able to maintain productivity because this is more flexible, and there are people who are saying I'm taking care of my ailing parents, and I am stressed and I'm not able to be productive. So I think organization can give flexibility, but the productivity depends upon person's circumstances and person's situation that they are in. Same person can be productive one day and cannot be productive the other day, or may not be productive throughout. So I think there is when we went into COVID. In fact, before we went into COVID, we were already having flexibility where people could operate out of home whenever they felt like. So it was not something that was new for Amazon. In fact, Amazon was one of the few companies that could go into a work from home situation very fast. Like 98% of our employees were able to move into work from home, where other companies were still figuring out. What we believe at Amazon is that we need to give flexibility to the individual and for them to decide how and where they would be able to utilize that. And I talked to you about my own example, and I manage different geographies, and it's been no one asks me what time do I get up or what time do I work or what time do I sleep. It depends upon the schedule. Sometimes, I'm up early morning. Sometimes I sleep off very early, depending upon my schedule.
Deepti, while we're talking about working from home, I'd like your thoughts on the future of work and this whole flexible hybrid model of working that many tech giants, including Google, has adopted. Just want to get a sense from you that in the future, what's it going to be like for Amazon India employees as the very idea of the physical office is kind of reimagined?
Certainly don't want to compare with other organizations, but I would certainly tell you, as I told you in the last question, that we had been giving flexibility to our employees even before COVID started. So it's not that this concept was new. In fact, we had experimented with different models where we said a person can come for 2 days a week, or a person can come, for a few hours instead of all the hours. So we've worked on different models. In fact, a virtual contact center that we piloted in a big way, where people could work for Amazon from different virtual locations, in the operations we had started. So some of these experiments had started, and we'll continue with these things even after, the lockdown opens up. But of course, being in office and collaborating in person has its own merit. And it's not easy to just look at computer throughout the day and think you're collaborating and you're innovating and doing all such things. It can be very taxing for the eyes, for individual who's not interacting with people. So I do feel that more and more from what I'm hearing is organizations are going into a model which is hybrid. I think for us, we believe that we need to give flexibility, but at the same time, I feel there is merit in coming to office and collaborating. There is merit in doing that while giving flexibility.
Yeah, I think it also somewhere you need offline touch points for culture building and chemistry building within teams, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I'll be honest. We were trying to look at what are the ways in which we can build the culture and innovate. Doing that remotely. So we came up with this experiment called Alexa experiment. We're using Alexa to onboard employees. And it was a good example to show that you can innovate remotely. It is not that you have to come together to innovate, but at the same time, it was just for building the culture. Of course, we did that, and the team said, now that we've done this, we want to come together and meet as a team and celebrate that moment. And I said, okay, you'll have to wait for that. But it's always the right balance as to how you do that, and there is merit in coming together, meeting. In fact, man is a social animal. You do need to have some faces and connect and just share that lighter moment. Like before COVID, I could just walk in the corridor and talk to two people and finish some of those things. And now you have to set up a meeting and just have that time where you can interact. So I think it's always easier to do that in person, but we are finding ways and means to do that remotely too.
I want to ask you about your headquarters at Seattle. The communication, I believe, there has been that it expects most of its employees to be back in the office soon. In the backdrop of that, how do you think the India story is likely to play out? Will it be very different, or will it be in line with what the HQ is planning to do?
So I think the communication they have sent out is that different countries are in different stages of COVID, and they want that the safety of the employee has to be paramount. And they're not saying that everybody has to come back. They're saying depending upon the country and the region that you are, please prioritize the safety of the employees. And depending upon the situation you are, then you will have to look at what are the when would you want to get people back into office? And I think we are also following the same thing right now. We are all focused on making sure our employees are vaccinated, their family members are vaccinated. In fact, we've gone ahead and made the pledge. I'm sure you are aware about it, where we're saying we're going to go ahead and vaccinate 10 lakh employees, sellers, partners, and so on and so forth, and their families. And the focus would certainly be that we should, concentrate on making sure that the employees are safe. And after some time, when things start going, we will certainly think about how do we get some of those employees back to the office. But right now, there is no such plan till people are
Right.
safe and vaccination is done.
Of course. Uh, I wanted to talk about the need for empathetic leadership at a time like this, and why I ask you is this because, how can leaders equip themselves for situations like the one that we find ourselves in, especially when most of them haven't ever faced a crisis like this before?
You're absolutely right. And let me throw another dimension to that is that sometimes we expect a lot from managers and leaders without really realizing that they themselves are individual who are having stress at home, who are having to look after their teams, who are supposed to, manage everything. So I keep telling that, remember that all leaders are employees too. So we thought that we need to look at it in a very holistic way and not just leave it best intentions, because we need to put some mechanisms there in order for us to get the real feel of what's happening. There is a tool that we use at Amazon called Connections. And what Connection basically does is that every time you pop up or you open your laptop in the morning, there is a question that pops up, which basically asks you to tell as to how you are feeling that particular day in different aspects. It is aspects related to work, about your career, about how you're feeling about working at Amazon, and so on and so forth. During Connection, what we did was that instead of using just questions about career or work or things like this, we started using this towards trying to ask questions related to COVID. Like we asked question, how many of you would like to get vaccinated? How are you feeling today? Do you feel you've had a one-on-one with your managers, and so on and so forth? That gave us a lot of data, and that gave data to all the managers also as to work backwards to understand what is it that is required. And I thought that that was a great mechanism for managers also to step back, because sometimes I was seeing that there were these organizations who were having so many engagement activities online, and that itself was a stress because you're sitting on in front of the computer all the time. So it was important to give the flexibility to managers and tell them that you are empowered to think what will work for your team. Like, for example, some of our team is Amazon videos would be very different from a technology team, would be very different from an operation team or a machine learning team, and one size does not fit all. But what helped was that we came up with some kind of tenets and guidelines and empowered the managers to be the leader who can, use different strokes as and when required.
Right. Deepti, you very rightly said that a lot of us don't tend to realize the fact that leaders are just as human as anyone else, and they'd be just as anxious and vulnerable at a time such as this. So, beyond this initiative that you spoke about personally, is there anything that you do or are aware that your other colleagues and other leaders do to find some peace and calm at a time like this, while you're trying to balance your personal anxieties along with those of your teams?
Yeah, like I have a 16-year-old son at home who's a sports person. So you can imagine just him stuck at home, not being able to play games, is was pretty stressful for me, along with handling whatever I was handling. So I've found ways and means to spend time with him, and of course, me and my husband are trying to find ways in which we can keep him occupied. But I think there is merit in reaching out and talking, and you need to do that with whomever is your confidant. Like, no one is a superhuman, and we all go through our ups and downs, and it is important whether it is EAP support or you have some person whom you're comfortable to talk to. And I have my support group with whom I do my own set of catharsis, which has helped me to bounce back. And of course, on the lighter note, Amazon Prime has been big stress buster for me. I do watch that quite often, binge watching, and I would advise people to do that whenever you can. So, and of course, sometimes online shopping, Amazon shopping is also a great stress buster for me. But jokes apart, I think physical and mental fitness is very important. Whatever way you should do it, I think it has helped me a lot. Whether it is any form of exercise, it just helps you to get that adrenaline rush and makes you feel better.
And is that something you encourage your teams across Amazon as well?
Oh, of course, we've started something where we had this wellness initiative that we went ahead and we did that. Of course, the wellness initiative had a lot of things with respect to EAP support, swasthya, listening circles. We also went ahead and we said that let's do some kind of a challenge which is like trying to make sure that people are walking, they're eating right, they're interacting, they're having people who are coaching them on how do you make sure that you're physically fit, because at the end of the day the COVID, I don't know about others, but it has taught me that the person who is physically and mentally fit will be able to survive through this challenging time.
I think that's a nice note to end on, Deepti. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.